Hi everyone, I am Brittany, the Cosmic Lunar Soul. Welcome to my channel if you're new. Welcome back to all of my subscribers. Today I have some books for you from Running Press Books, and this is from their kids edition. So let's go ahead and get into it. So as I mentioned, these books are from the kids edition from Running Press. You can see that here where it says RP Kids. So all of these books are geared towards children or young adults. So I have 4 books here: How to Speak Flower, Your Birthstone Book, Junior Astrologers, and then Astrology for Black Girls. And this is really exciting to me, so I'm going to save the best for last. Let's go ahead and talk about How to Speak Flower. I will have all of the information of the books below, all of the links and stuff like that, so you can find them. But let's go ahead and just talk about it. So this book is How to Speak Flower. This is a kid's guide to buds, blooms, and blossoms by Molly Williams and illustrated by Miriam Boss. So this book retails for $14.99 in the US and $19.99 in Canada. Basically, this is just a book on everything gardening and plants, or flowers rather, I should say. Let's look through the table of contents real quick. And it's beautifully illustrated. Look at all these vibrant colors. So as someone who really has, like, I would say an off-green thumb, this book is really fun because I personally will never tackle trying to grow flowers, but there's stuff in here too if you are into gardening, but maybe not necessarily into gardening with flowers. So there's a welcome, a mini history of speaking flower, symbolism in floriography, plant buzzwords, the flower life cycle, botany versus horticulture, and there are cute little quizzes in here too. And then we go into the different flower languages. We have love, friendship, gratitude, celebration, healing, flowers with negative meanings, and then danger flowers. I'm kidding. It says danger flowers that harm. We have do-it-yourself flowers, and that whole section is all about like being creative with flowers. So drying them, pressing them, making your own potpourri, that kind of stuff, which I probably won't dry my own flowers because I won't grow my own flowers. But if I have dried flowers, this is really, my kind of section. And then finally, it goes into how do your flowers grow, flowers, plants, and the colors they make, why connect with flowers, and the historical meaning of flowers. So it's really cool because it does go into where this concept of floriography comes from and why people communicate with flowers. I won't get into like too in depth, but it does go through, like I said, just an overall stuff where it first originated. It goes through how the Victorians used it and then how we use that concept in the modern day. And then we get into the symbolism within floriography. I love how we have the color meanings here. We have the different flowers that correlate to different correspondences, such as, like I said, gratitude, healing. Especially because when I was looking through this, I didn't imagine how different very similar shades could be. Like for instance, going through orange, coral, and peach, they do have slightly different correspondences from each other. And then also we have like light pink versus dark pink. So yeah, and this is white. I missed that the first time. I was like, what a weird gap in the page. But yeah, so it goes through all of those different colors. What's interesting, though, is I see burgundy and I see lavender. Are there no purple flowers? Or are they just calling lavender purple, I wonder? It goes through the breakdown of the flower anatomy. I barely know human anatomy, so I will probably only remember a little bit of that. So thank goodness I have this book. And then it expands upon all of the flower parts and defines them for you. I like really how the fun facts are scattered throughout this. Um, I like fun facts because I do that a lot in just daily conversation. I'll be talking and say, huh, fun fact. So I really enjoy that in this book. We have plant buzzwords. This is a lot of these words are probably really familiar, like annuals, bedding, plant, bien, biennials. I am not wording very well. Chlorophyll, chloroplast, cultivars, so forth. And these are listed in alphabetical order. And they're just the common words that you would see throughout this book, throughout any kind of planting book. And if you're like me and you mix up annual, biennial, and then perennial a lot, great reference. We have the flower life cycle. So I'm going to just kind of skip around a bit. And here we get into botany versus horticulture. Um, and it's just basically botany. I mean, of course, you can read this or look it up yourself, but botany is more of a broad definition and horticulture is much more specific. Just to get into the too long didn't read part of that. So this page is an example of one of the quizzes. It's just so fun. It makes the book very interactive. It makes it really easy to use and digest for younger minds, and it takes a lot of the sciencey aspects and just makes it much more digestible, in my opinion. I do think that this, since it is more geared towards kids, it might lack the instructions that you might be looking for that you would find in a more in-depth book, or you might find in something that's more closely associated with like the Farmer's Almanac. Here is an example of one of the instructions that they have in the do-it-yourself section. So this is making your own floral bath bombs. It makes it really simple. It just lists out what you'll need, and then the preparations, and then it goes through the steps. Most of them are pretty easy. They're like between 4 and 5 steps for the most part. So super simple. It's really something if your kid really enjoys plants or do it yourself stuff. This is something that you guys can do as a family and might make a little bit of a mess, but it's really something simple that you guys can do and help them understand nature a little better. Let's go and look at the Your Birthstone book. So this is Your Birthstone book, Unearth the Secrets of Your Birthday Gem, written by Sarah Glenn Marsh and illustrated by Haley Webb. This book retails for $14.99 in the US and $19.99 in Canada. So this book basically gives you a lot of like history and backstory on your specific gemstone based off of your month. So let me go to May because that is my birth month and that's the month that we're in now. That is a hint for you guys to put happy birthday wishes in the comments. Okay, so May is emerald. I do have an emerald somewhere floating around here. I used to have an emerald ring when I was a kid. I used to love that thing. Okay. So this goes into just the description of the fact that, it explains that May has the emerald, and then it gives a little bit of backstory of the emerald and an overview of the emerald, where it can be found and sort of its color ranges, that kind of stuff. And then it goes into history and lore, which is really cool. So I learned about the emerald that it was very much highly regarded in a lot of different cultures. It specifically for the emerald, it talks about how the first known emerald mines were in Egypt, and then also the indigenous peoples of South America really highly regarded the emerald. So, and then there's something interesting in here. So it says, by placing an emerald under the tongue, one could see into the future or become a better speaker. I feel like I wish I had known this when I had to take speech in college. um, but it goes into other things such as Spanish lore, Greek lore, and then it goes into some uses based off of some beliefs. Let's talk about, since this is for school or kids rather, let's talk about this bullet. It says planning a group project at school. Emerald may help develop mutual understanding and encourage cooperation within a group of people. I definitely wish I had this book when I was in school. um, I really think this is a fun book. It's an easy read, especially if you're just trying to use it as like learning your family members' birthstone and want to have some fun trivia about those gems. And it's an easy way, an easy I would say it's a relatable way to learn about gems and crystals if your kid is really into those kinds of things. Because, especially in my opinion, being able to reference or correlate something when you're learning to something personal makes it easier to remember and understand and just connect with. So, fun fact June has two gems. The main one is pearls, and then the other one is I believe it was moonstone. So that's really fun. So the whole book is set up in the same way. It has these really cool illustrations for the month, and each month ends in uses. Some have more uses than others. Like for instance, September has a dual page of uses. So it just depends on the gem, but yeah, I think this is really cool. And if you want to show off some birthstone or birth month stone trivia, this is a really fun, easy, digestible book. And it's just a really fun reference book, too. Just keep it on your shelf and pull it out when you need it. Next up is the Junior Astrologer's Handbook. It says it's a kid's guide to astrological signs, the zodiac, and more. This is by Nikki Vandekar and illustrated by Uta Krogman. I hope I said that correctly. This book retails for $14.99 in the US and $19.99 in Canada. I'm sure you guys are seeing a trend here. This one actually feels a little bit thicker than all of the other books. So this has, I think, probably a little bit more information. It is a little bit. It actually, I know it does. It has more things to go through than the other books. I really think this is cool because I mentioned with the last book how relating or correlating things you're learning back to things that are relatable and personal to you makes it easy to learn. So this goes into a few different things. Let me go through the contents. We have, of course, the introduction, and then part one focuses on, your sun, moon, and rising. So it introduces these concepts, and it introduces them in the ways of managing school, managing friends, and managing family. So this is breaking down how those signs correlate to you and the people around you in these different walks of life. Then it goes into the signs. It's broken down into all of the different zodiacs, and then within that, it talks about compatibility, a famous person within that sign. It goes into the craft or of that sign, events to watch out for, events to look forward to, and then deacons. And then that's pretty much the main crux of this book. So let me go through part one a little bit, and then we'll look at one of the zodiac signs. Kind of went a little far here. So here's part one. Like I said, introducing the concepts of sun, moon, and rising signs. And it just explains very quickly what that is. And then, of course, this book is similar to the Flowers book, where it has a little quiz in here. And it's based off of the different signs here that are in here. And it says basically, this is a quiz. Are you a true blank? And it tells you first define your sun, and test yourself with the list of statements about that sun. And then you add up all the numbers and so forth. It's very interactive, just like the flower book. And then we have the different sections about managing school. And then I love how this is broken up. You know, harnessing your strengths based off of your signs. So I'm a Taurus, right? So it says for Taurus, you work so hard and it shows. The teachers love you. You're great at coming up with a routine, so stick with it. And be sure to reward yourself regularly when you get something done. You're really good at staying organized. In school, I used to be extremely organized. In like general life, maybe not so much. So yeah, that's really cool. And let's see, I am a Pisces, moon and rising. So let's see what it says about that. You love bringing your very best to your work, particularly when it's creative. You know that school is important, and so you work hard, even when it's not always that interesting. You have a lot of cool ideas, and people respond. People respond to them. This is actually really true as well. So I always say I feel like I don't feel like I embody the Pisces part of me, but I did go to creative and performing arts schools for middle school and then a different one for high school. And our projects were not like the cliche book reports, they were always something artsy in some kind of way. And I remember having like competitions with people, whether they knew they were in a competition with me or not. I always had to have the best assignment ever. And I remember in middle school, I actually did a video recording of my book report where I was the character in the future, like a year after the book ended. It was amazing, and I got top marks. So we go into still in the school zone, strengths and weaknesses. I'm not going to go through all of that because you guys will just have to get the book to see that. And then we go into the friends section. And this is just saying how to be a great friend based off of your zodiac. And of course, there is more depth to this, meaning like it depends on other people's signs and stuff like that. But it kind of it puts the onus on you from that perspective. And then another fun quiz here. So let's skip through. We have managing family, same basic setup. And then we have, where is part 2? Actually, before we get to part 2, we have events to be aware of. And it basically explains what these different events are. We have Mercury retrograde, solar eclipse, lunar eclipse. What I like about this, and if you're not in the like YouTube sphere or like just online community for the most part for people that are witches or in that spirituality, a lot of times there's a little bit of fear mongering. I say a little bit, but I mean a lot of it of fear mongering around these events. And what I like is this gives tips on, don't be scared of it. Just be aware that this is happening, and just take that extra moment to be a little more aware of how you are behaving during this time. So, for example, for Mercury retrograde, it doesn't say like, oh, all is lost or anything. It really just says make sure you are taking time to be more communicative. Double check that you haven't missed any forms of communication, or emails, text, stuff like that. And when you're behind in some kind of way or you're not meeting expectations, just be honest and communicate what is going on with you. And I really think that is a great foundational thing that a lot of people online don't really do for people. So here is part 2. This is so cute. I love this. So this is where we get into the signs. I'm going to go ahead and skip to Taurus because we're the best. So it kind of gives all of the standard fare stuff, right? It goes into the dates here, sort of talks about typical stereotypes of a Taurus, and then just goes into more of a description of what a Taurus is. You know, it's funny though. It says your favorite color tends to be green. Like, that's so okay. um, I hate green. It's my least favorite color. It says you love music and being outdoors. I do love music. Outdoors, it depends. While you don't care much for change, you are loyal to the very end. Here we have the compatibility. Let's see who I should be friends with. I should be friends with. Oh, it says that you can get along with just about anybody, but you're probably closest to Virgos and Capricorns. All right, guys. Any of you Virgos or Capricorns? Because we got to be friends now. It says, though, that your best friend is most likely to be a water sign. I don't think that's true. Not for me. But as I mentioned, there is more that goes into it. Your moon and rising also affect all of this too. So a famous Taurus is Adrian Rich. It says that some of the most influential and experimental writers in history have been Taurians. Karl Marx, Charlotte Bronte, Vladimir Nabokov, and William Shakespeare. Okay. And Anne Rich is, just for anyone curious, a feminist poet and essayist. Here is our illustration. So Taurus craft for is illustration. The craft for each sign is going to be a little different. So this one focuses on the concept of being an artist. And then it says, but you're also a perfectionist. I was really bad with that in school. Sometimes prohibitively so. And I still kind of have this issue. It says, you like to know exactly what you're doing before you start. And this can sometimes be a gift and a curse. If I don't fully understand something, I won't do it because I don't understand the end goal. If I don't understand what the point is, then I'm not going to waste my time and energy, which can be good or bad. It's sometimes bad at work. So it says events to watch out for. We have the moon in Taurus. We're in Mercury retrograde, so let's read this. Nobody likes it when Mercury's in retrograde, but you definitely don't. You like knowing what's going to happen and making plans, and when Mercury is wonky, it feels like your whole world is wonky. It can sometimes be true. Not every retrograde is like that, so I wish it kind of talked about the retrogrades in the different zodiacs a bit, but I guess that's a little bit outside the scope of this book. We have Mars in Taurus, Uranus in Taurus, and then we have events to look forward to. Sun in Taurus, which is now, so let's read this. Okay, yeah. You love your birthday. Oh, guys, of course I don't love my birthday. I haven't mentioned it at all, not once this entire video. You don't often like being the center of attention, but a little fuss always feels good. Let yourself enjoy it. I like being the center of attention when it's about me. I think that's the point of being the center of attention. So we have Mercury in Taurus, Venus in Taurus, Jupiter in Taurus, and Saturn in Taurus. So the decans, we have Venus decan is April 20th to April 30th. So we have aspects to celebrate, aspects to use with caution, and potential career. Mercury in decan is right now, so having Mercury in your court is definitely a good thing, which is interesting because Mercury is in retrograde, but we're also we have our Mercury decan right now. So it says you're great at communicating whatever it is you want to say, and it's usually something pretty important. You've got a good eye for detail, and you're just, well, hella smart, hair flip a little bit. I'm only an aerospace engineer. Sorry, I'm in a bragging mode. When I get close to my birthday, I get very obnoxious. So sorry in advance for any of the videos I'm recording over the next few days. We have aspects to celebrate again, use with caution, and potential career. Okay, so Saturday Deacon is actually my birthday is the start of Saturday Deacon, so it's May 10th. It says you are so this is most related to me, I would say. It says you are most hardworking. It's a little intimidating. You're at the top of your game always because you put in the effort needed to stay there. You're patient and have absolute faith in your own abilities. Things to celebrate. You can literally do anything you set your mind to, and you hate procrastinating. That is very wrong. I will wait to the last moment, and I thrive off of the pressure of that time crunch. Aspects to use with caution. Your need for success can sometimes make you a little blind to the rest of life. Slow down and think about what really matters to you. Potential career. Anything. Hair flip. What do you want to do? You'll be amazing at it. Okay, and hair flip. Last one. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. Let's go on and look at the last book, guys. This is the book that I was most looking forward to being sent. This is Astrology for Black Girls, a beginner's guide for Black girls who look to the stars. Written by Jordana Elizabeth and illustrated by Shelley Carroll. This book retails for $14.99 US and $19.99 Canadian. Who is surprised at this point? So I really like this book because it's from the author's perspective, and she's creating a book that she wished she had when she was younger. And um, I kind of relate to that. So when I was younger, I was never really into astrology. I was very into astronomy, and mostly because that whole, I feel like I've mentioned this on my channel before, but the whole correlation between like science and like the spiritual was a hard thing for me to grasp at that age, and I felt like that was like white people shit. Or at least that's what everybody around me called it. So I felt like it was inaccessible to me. So really, I leaned very heavily into the sciences. I probably would have anyway, but it would have been cool to have that support, I guess, in this side of things because it's like the other face of the same coin. So it starts off with this quote: "To the black girls who don't fit the mold, I'm always here for you, and to my amazing mother." And this is from J.E. So here's the contents, introduction. We have part one, choosing to explore astrology. Part two is where to begin. And then part three is astrological signs and what they mean. Everything is from the perspective of, you know, enjoying a topic that, especially back then, not necessarily being accepted in the black community, and nowadays not accepted is pretty strong of a term. More so, not common is probably better for 2023 versus the 90s. um it's funny though, because the first sentence of chapter one here is astrology is for white people, and then it says, don't be surprised if you hear this as you begin to learn about astrology. And that's really the whole premise of this book, and why I really like it. And of course, the representation in the illustrations is very meaningful to me as well. I will say that, even though, sorry, I gotta move my bookmark here. So I will say that even though it is specific to objectively geared towards black girls, I think this can be used for any, black and brown girls, or people that grow up in a community that doesn't embrace astrology or anything like this for that matter. And I like how very early on it talks about how astrology does not have to replace religion, and just because you like astrology does not mean you're giving up religion. And having that understanding, and the correlations between, especially coming from a more Christian perspective, having that understanding of the correlation between the two can help you relate this information back to your families. And here we go. family, and astrology. So I like the breakdown in the beginning, and it's really like building that confidence to practice and building that just being able to embody the practice a little more and not being scared of going down this path. Of course, we get into the part where we start to talk about how like your signs and astrology, how it relates to you, and it introduces the concept of natal charts. And then we start to get a little more in depth. So where this book I feel like is a very big reference book, all encompassing, this starts to dive a little deeper into the elements, so triplicities and quadruplicities. And basically how the zodiacs are broken up into the elemental categories. So we have here the earth signs, air signs, water signs, fire signs. It's very weird. If anybody knows this, and maybe you have to read a little more in depth, why the earth signs, which are divided into four, are the triplicities, which to me means three, but um the modalities, which there are three of, are the quadruplicities. I mean, I guess it's because even though there are three of them, four of the signs are divided into the three, but that is not immediately, that does not immediately make sense to me. This is why I struggle with astrology, guys. So, basically, it goes into the concept of cardinal signs, fixed signs, and mutable signs. And then we get into the houses. This book is really I would say, the level of astrology that even I am at right now. And I think that it will present it in a nice, watered down way that I can just ingest some of it. Because I know of these concepts, but a lot of the books geared towards adults are just very in depth, and my attention span just cannot. And then also, who doesn't enjoy like the illustrations where they see themselves in it? So again, much more relatable. And I think that even though this is geared towards kids or young adults, maybe even, I think even I can benefit from this. And yes, I did brag a second ago that I was super smart, but I'm also I don't like to struggle to learn things. So if I don't grasp something very quickly, then I'm on to the next thing because life is too short to struggle. But I think that this is laid out in a really fun and easy way to ingest. I will have to do a follow up video and in the future and see, do like a review of how well that actually works. We get into the quadrants and the angles. Um, this is all stuff that I see people mention, and I'm like, okay. The planets is something that I am interested in. I want to kind of understand a little bit more. I remember certain things, like I remember Mars, I remember Venus, but I don't remember, I like that Pluto's in here, Pluto was always a planet to me. I'm of the generation where Pluto was a planet and then they removed Pluto as a planet. So us millennials never got over the disrespect of Pluto. Here we talk about the big three, sun, moon, and rising, which she calls SMR. I'm going to use that from now on. And just explains sun signs and then the different zodiacs within that. Let's go on to rising signs. And then, of course, talks about each zodiac within that. And let's see. Here's Pisces rising. That's what I am. So Pisces rising are one of the most sensitive signs of the zodiac. It takes time for you to feel comfortable in new environments, but Your compassionate and loving personality draws people to you. It is important for you to find the best qualities in people, and you tend to see the beauty in others instead of their darker side. False. Um, you like to help others and make them feel safe and calm as you share a very intuitive and peaceful environment when you are comfortable. You have a vivid imagination and you share your vision with softness and without judgment. Also false. But yeah, I'm not that bad, but that made me sound much more wholesome than I really am. And then here we get into calculating your chart. This is really short, so I have to actually read through it because I don't know if it is more just like overall information or if it's supposed to be a instructional. But yeah, I am looking forward to reading this. So as you can see, I already put my bookmark in it. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if any of these books interest you. I know I can't be the only adult that really finds these books fascinating. So comment below and let me know what you found interesting. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this video, give me a like. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.